Greetings, Captain. What's the report from the bridge?
There's no report.
Looks like
What's up, Anthony?
yeet.
You've been talking about Docker a lot, huh? I can't read this. Hold
So
on.
command plus, Sean. Or command equals.
Oh, well, so I can read it if I take my glasses off.
That's weird. So Sean just came back from an eye appointment, and I know he's not on drugs because he's not like that, but his pupils are like dinner plates right now.
They let me drive home like this.
I can't believe that. I cannot believe that.
They told me to drive home like this. Yeah, you're fine to drive home.
Do they give you those like the visor things that like just like grab onto the side of your temples? You know what I'm talking about? Have you seen those?
No and no.
It's just like a flat piece of plastic, but it's kind of curled. It's almost like you're unrolling like a poster. You know how when you unroll a poster and it closes back in on itself, right?
Yeah.
So they're plastic glasses that are just rolled up. So when you unroll them, you just place them over your eyes and they just grab the side of your face when they try to roll back up. And you look like I don't know. You get to Geordie the Forge for a couple hours. I mean, we should probably be just recording this. This is good. It's quality content.
I don't know. My cam's hooked up via Wi-Fi. I don't know how to fix it. Don't know how to fix it. So,
That's awesome, Shy Ryan.
yeah, no, I haven't. What did he say, you guys? What? Oh, Spaceballs? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it'll wear off soon. I mean, it's been a while. I drove to the grocery store first, bought some food, and then I came home. And so now I'm just like waiting for him to work again. I don't know. What made it worse was that she gave me the dose the first time around, and I had to sit there for 10 minutes, right, and let it kick in. She comes back in. She's like, "Wow, you need more of this. It's not working." So she put more in, and then left for another 10 minutes.
No.
Yeah. So I got like a double dose of whatever it is they put in your eyes for that. It's alright. I can see a lot better. Yeah. Yeah. My prescription didn't change at all, luckily. So
That's
I
good.
guess that's good. Yeah, I didn't go backwards and get worse. So. Yeah, but I can't really read the chat that well. I'll try to stay on top of it, but
You get a pipe it into the say command and
it's dangerous. my brother has that on his gaming stream where people can like spend channel points to have it say stuff over the
oh my god.
yeah.
That's such a great idea.
Dangerous.
Yeah, they're going to be trash talking about you, Sean, behind your back. You're not even going to know it. You'll be looking right at it.
Well, if I pull my glasses down, I can kind of see. So you'll just see the tan line I have on my like the bridge of my nose now.
You're just trying to make me jealous of that California weather. I know it.
It has
I
been
see
pretty
you.
nice.
Almost got up to 70 here today.
It's warmer than it's been here. That neither of you could see.
That's true. That did happen. Can confirm.
And she didn't even ask if I had anybody with me. I was like, so I just drive home? And she's like, yeah.
I don't have trouble with the FAR division, but
Well, I guess
but
it's not a problem here. As Paul knows, it's not a problem here because you can only drive about 5 miles an hour on the highway after 4 o'clock anyway. So
boom, roasted.
there's so many cars.
Do we want to talk a little show meta before we get started?
Sure.
Yeah, so what were you thinking? I see some notes here. You were pinging the Discord. Did you want to suck up one of those ideas and run with that? Or what are you thinking?
What was the idea?
I don't know. You were asking people, or people were talking about like taking stuff from the Discord, sharing ideas from the Discord week in review.
Thanks for that. I can actually read Matt's message in the general channel.
That's called that's like some accessibility right there.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So follow up on the thing is that Jimmy uses it, but I haven't really. I took kind of like this last week has been sort of like a relaxing kind of week and get stuff done around the house, yard kind of week after work and stuff. So I haven't done too much extracurricular programming. But I could talk about some. I mean, if you want to talk front end, I could talk about some front endy stuff happening with the project.
Not really.
Some processy stuff. If you want to talk about TypeScript, if you want to talk about, I don't know. Yeah, there's stuff to chat about.
The PR review guide. You've been working on that. We should talk about that.
Okay.
You can even post it. I don't know. Do you want to post it?
I can't.
Sure. That was really what I was trying to ask. Okay.
But there's nothing I could copy paste it. Like there's nothing specific to MetaLab that's secret in it. It's just in a MetaLab Notion. Yeah, that's actually been really helpful for me too. I'm secretly doing all this stuff for me. So
I mean that's the best motivator.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. The client signed for another 3 months, so looks like we're going to be doing more of that. And I could talk a little bit about like I heard that this is one of the longest like projects we've had here, like in the history of the Eng team, and so there's been some interesting conversations around. Okay, we're effectively a startup, this small team. Like we're working alongside their processes, we're working at their speed, And we're no longer just adding. A lot of it is sort of housekeeping and maintenance as we go, which seems to be a new-ish concept to people. So they've been relying on my experience from startups in the past, which is like 2, right? But like, how do you keep things healthy long term post release when they have customers using it and you're adding, and you're not like, you don't want to break things as you go, you know what I mean? So
Yeah. And you have to get out of the mindset of like, hey, I'm delivering something for the client too. Hey, like I have to keep working on this now.
yeah, and so I've been talking more with my boss and my producer about this aspect of, and especially the designer too, because the designer working with us is no longer like, things that they change and tweak have repercussions.
Yeah.
So that's been a lot of that big topic of conversation recently. Like, yeah, I see, like, we have like a Notion board. I mean, we could talk about how it's structured.
I think we should just save it. Just save it, because then you're gonna forget.
That's been harder for me to manage, to be quite honest, than the technical side.
Yeah, no, I think that's interesting though. Okay. I feel like if that's an hour's worth of content right there. And I could talk about this. I don't have to talk about this FTA thing, but we'll see.
It sounds cool. It sounded. What's up, Green Jenny?
Always motivating. We need like a sound clip, like a soundboard. Make pod now. Actually, the Rogue Amoeba folks make a soundboard app.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah. All right, I guess we could do this. Sean is Elton John. Wow, how did I get Elton John out of that?
I kind of read that the same way because you said
Weird.
it when I was reading it. I just sampled one of my Zoom backgrounds I use for calls, depending on the client.
It's too bad the Starfield's not like moving behind you, or there's like a space battle going on.
The CPU could not handle that.
It's trying enough as it is.
I should probably start trying to like record or maybe use the streaming from the PC, because it has double the CPU cores and faster RAM.
Sure.
It's just better. But the software is nicer on Mac, I think. So that's why I keep using it.
Don't we all?
Yeah.
All right, ready?
Yep.
All right.
Check. Cool.
You want to clap?
Sure.
I have decreed it.
Clap. All right. 1, 2, 3.
Action. Does kind of work that way, doesn't it? Get kind of like, we're live now. This is it. No take backs.
No take backs. Yeah.
Actually, everything in the pre-show is all can't take that back either. Now that we're recording and streaming on YouTube and everything,
it's all part of the public record.
I don't think it really deserves to be. To be honest.
Yeah. So there was that big thing that happened with Ubiquity, right?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
So to summarize, I'll put a link to this in the show notes. Let me make a note to make sure. So it wasn't really a hack, right? Because if I remember correctly, somebody got access to somebody's like password from LastPass that used to work there, and they got into the system that way.
Yeah, I mean, social engineering, that counts as a hack, right?
Yeah, totally. So my client is in the security realm, the security world, and I love to ask them questions about this stuff, because they have to evaluate what they can and can't say, or like what they're allowed to like talk about or not talk about. And so I put them on the spot, and it's fun to watch them squirm a little bit. But so I've been wanting to like do networking for the new place, and I've been looking at Ubiquity gear to kind of like be the backbone for that. And so I was curious. I was like, hey, this is something that I want to do. I'm researching this company. I just saw this. Would you be worried, etc.? And they just reiterated something I've been hearing a lot, but they're just like, it doesn't matter. Like, nothing really at the end of the day is secure. And if you want to be on the net, that's part of playing the game.
Wow, I don't agree with that, but okay.
That's the gist of what I received.
Sure, but if someone leaves your company and their LastPass is lying around, that's a procedural problem. Like, maybe change those passwords. Like, there's lots of. Yeah.
That is a procedural problem, but there's more than one way into the house.
Sure.
Is what they're getting at.
Well, it was really funny because the week prior to this announcement coming out, so the hack happened, or that Ubiquiti actually announced the hack back in January, and we use Ubiquiti gear. Maybe I shouldn't say this on the air, but we use a lot of their gear at our remote sites, and it's great because you can manage it remotely. You just log into the cloud console, and you can see all the cloud keys. Some of the cloud keys you run on the Raspberry Pis on Docker. And you can, manage the networks and open up ports and see the health of everything. It's great. But back in January, we got this notice from them that says, hey, we had this breach. Probably change your passwords, right? And so we did. We reset our passwords and enabled two-factor auth on all our accounts and, all the things that we probably should have done from day one. But fine, like, we're good. And then this new announcement came out from this sort of whistleblower. And what was funny was on ATP, the week prior to the announcement, someone was asking about networking gear, and Marco Arment was talking about how he uses Ubiquiti gear, but he has a hard time recommending it these days because the firmware is sort of, the management interface on these devices is really moving really quickly and is not very stable. And I know I've had problems with it. For example, the Cloud Key. Cloud Key is this little embedded device. It runs a basically just like a server application that it phones home to the cloud, and then it allows you to get into the network and manage the network remotely, right?
Okay.
You can buy their $100 Cloud Key thing and plug into your network, or you can just get a Docker image and run it on whatever device you want, which is what we do. But I learned this the hard way. That Cloud Key can actually go corrupt if the power is shut down.
No.
If the power is shut down, the thing. It comes back up. Guess what? It uses MongoDB under the hood. It's running MongoDB locally on this little embedded device. And so in MongoDB, as you probably are aware, doesn't always write to disk when you save stuff. And so you could have stuff half written to disk and the thing turns off, and now your database is corrupt because the stuff in the write log has not been flushed to disk. And so they actually have this whole knowledge base article about how you have to SSH into the device and run all these Mongo commands to like take the rest of that write log and flush it to the database to get everything back in sync again. And like, oh my God, what a nightmare, right? And that's just sort of an indicator of this they're just, Marco again said, moving fast and breaking things. Not really a property you want in networking gear, right? You want it to be rock solid. And so it was just funny, the timing of that episode, and then the leak came out. And I don't totally disagree with them. I do really like the gear. It is very convenient. The remote management is awesome, but it has been changing a lot in ways that the UI is whatever better, using air quotes here, but some features go missing. Some things are harder to do. It's not a total win at all. So it's really interesting right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to ask you if you have a provider that you would endorse on air in front of everybody.
I have the Ubiquiti gear in my house. I've got a Dream Machine and an airport Wi-Fi router, whatever they're called. Not an airport. Unify access point points upstairs. Yeah. It's fine.
I was looking at getting a Dream Machine Pro and some access points to wire through the wall or something. But yeah, I mean, well, it's an interesting point like you're making about. Well, for later, I might want to circle back to this MongoDB stuff because I wasn't aware that sometimes it just doesn't write to disk. But anyway, you're talking about it's the point that Marco started with was like it's moving really fast. Like, does that mean like there's new features coming in really quickly, or it's just like constantly being updated, or just like constantly being changed or iterated on?
It feels, at least from the consumer perspective, like it's changed for the sake of change. Like it was already really good, and then all of a sudden everything changed, and there was no obvious benefit for it, at least that I could see.
Sure. Yeah, I'd be really interested to learn more about their processes there around change for the sake of change. I've been learning a lot about that anyway in the current project I'm on, because that's something we're trying to not do. So they just signed another extension, and so I don't have any official numbers or anything like that, but what I've been told is that this is one of the longest projects in MetaLab history that's just like continuously ongoing, which is great. MetaLab, I guess, historically has been like, launching MVPs. And so this is more of a long-term retainer relationship where it's ongoing development, but also maintenance. And the other portion of it that I haven't really been involved in the past is like the research portion. So we actually hire UX researchers from outside the company to come in, and they run these highly structured like research scenarios with clients from the company. And so they basically put together a flow, and then they take someone like the client's customers through the flow and just ask them, what does this mean to you? How do you feel about this? Does it make sense? Trying to just get down to the bottom of stuff. And so what we do is we kind of cap these feature pushes and changes with like a research pass. And then while the research pass is happening, that's usually when my team is doing the housekeeping refactoring bits that we've been wanting to do for a little while. But that's been something that I've never really been involved in before, having a actual research thing happen, and then having a designer come in and be a part of the team to make updates to the UI based off of the research that has just happened.
Yeah, so I imagine as a consultancy, normally you're, developing requirements or taking in requirements from the client and then building them to the specification. Then sort of the deliverables are sort of given back. You sort of pass the ball back into their court, right? But this is gone beyond that scope, right? You have this sort of iterative feedback cycle that's really long term. Is that the right way of thinking about it?
Yep, exactly. Yeah. Which it's good. Like, it's fine. It's good for them. I think that eventually they'll probably hire out the team to do this. They already have a team, but they have internal apps that they sort of manage, and so we're building public facing stuff for them, more or less.
Do you have an end game, or not you, but is there an end game, or is it just the client just has more money and more time? Like, usually these things are there's some limiting reactant here, or sorry. Usually there's some limiting reagent here for, how much time and money they can afford to spend on you.
So I don't have a ton of insight there because that's outside of my role. Technically, we have a client partner role that's kind of like what they're in charge of, is not necessarily upselling, but like the continual kind of re-signing of work if it makes sense for the client. And so we have that dedicated role, and then we have the project manager / producer role, and they work together on this stuff. And then I might jump in with the producer and help define a roadmap if I need to, but I'm pretty isolated from all those conversations.
Sure.
From what I understand, this client, they do capital raising cycles, and typically they will sign more work with us after they've raised more capital. So that's what happened at the beginning of this year. They raised another seed round, and they signed more time. And so I'm aware of a certain number of features. In fact, there's a Figma from when things first started with this client where like it was like a big bang. There was like all these things kind of designed and put out, and all these different screens and features. And they don't look like what the live site looks like now, but it's kind of like that's where we go. Like that was the original discovery. This is the big vision for what this client wants. And then they decide what's important via research or the founders or the C-suite, right? Like if the C-suite's like, we want mobile, then we're doing mobile. Like it kind of trumps whatever's on the roadmap. But we kind of pull features from that roadmap and implement them as we've been going.
Mm-hmm. So have there been new processes sort of put in place or that have to be developed to sort of handle that sort of longer term project? You just kind of making it up as you go?
So, I mean, that's kind of like, I know that's kind of a leading question because we were talking about this before we started recording, but
come on, man. Give you a softball.
That's exactly, well, no, that's exactly it. So talking about like moving fast and breaking stuff essentially is what Ubiquity seems to be doing. Don't sue me, right? Uh, and we're
It's
not we
anecdata.
sure, yeah, and so we want to we're effectively part of their startup. We're developing, we're moving at their pace. Our priorities change when their priorities change. Um, we're an extension of their team, and so like I mentioned, I've heard people say that this is one of the longer running projects that we've had, and so I've been involved in more frequent conversations with my producer and my boss about sort of transitioning the mental space, or transitioning sort of like the processes towards this isn't an MVP that we're shipping. This has real customers, real people using it. So if we ship a bug, it doesn't go and die in the staging area. It goes to production, probably, which is much different when you have paying customers using this thing, right? If you ship a regression, it doesn't necessarily die in staging if it's not caught. Because we don't have, like, normally we'd have like a QA team to catch stuff. They'd go through your scenarios and they would catch things, right? That doesn't exist here. So we are the QA team, but that makes things take so much longer. And it's a lot more frustrating as a developer, to be honest, too. So I've been in a lot of conversations the last couple of weeks about my past experience in startup world and how to sort of manage expectations that way. How to sort of avoid the feeling of Groundhog Day when you're just kind of working on the same thing day in and day out for months or years, it's been some interesting conversations. So
Yeah, it's funny because what you're describing it's not unique. It's not a unique experience. It's not even necessarily unique to just consulting. I mean, what you're describing is the maturing process of an application from a startup to something that people are actually starting to use, and yeah, it's going to get harder and harder and to turn the ship and to make changes without breaking things and et cetera, et cetera. So it's kind of funny just to see you go through that process, because you took DK from basically nothing to sort of that phase where it was starting to grow, kind of the knee of the curve maybe, right? And now you just sort of jumped to a new project that is already you sort of picked up where you left off in terms of experience, or like, duration, life cycle of the project, I guess. That's also what it sounds like.
Also too, like, picked up where we inherited a halfway built thing from the client.
Yeah, that's another shared experience, sure.
Yeah, so that's honestly been, so like the two biggest the two hardest parts for me, to be completely honest, are like, actually the technical side of this isn't the hardest part because I have past experience doing this. The hardest part of this for me actually is around the design, because part of my job, I don't always just sit and look at code. Like, half of the day I'm looking at designs and trying to poke holes in designs, trying to think, like, does this make sense? Does it make sense in the bigger picture? Like, if you change this tiny little color on this word over here, does it kind of like destroy the meaning of like a color system that you might have, right? And it seems like these seem like small things, but they matter to users, turns out, in research. So there's a lot of my time spent like analyzing designs before it even gets to code, like way more time than I thought would be spent there. And the hardest part about this is trying to, so we talk about like code like a garden, right? You tend to the garden and you pull weeds and you make sure things are planted far enough apart, and it's like a constant kind of thing where you're like pruning and moving and weeding. The designs are like that, but worse, because I feel like code is easier to garden than like sometimes these static designs. Now Figma makes it a lot easier because you have components and you can actually like componentize your system almost, right? But man, like we did some type system work like 2 months ago, and I'm still finding stuff laying around the designer. I'm like, oh, well, this isn't right. This wasn't componentized, so it doesn't match. And so I still have like a developer will bring up a thing like, hey, this ticket says to do this thing, but I just noticed that this doesn't look like the UI kit, or this doesn't, like, this is different. And so it creates this like cycle. I'm not like throwing blame on any designers or anything like that. It's just it's just not like it's not the I don't know, the processes. Like I said, Figma makes it better with components, but wow, I would hate to go through designs like hundreds of screens and look for, oh, we changed this font weight on this size to like 500 from 400,
Right.
That's a really bad example because it's like, doesn't mean anything functionally most of the time, but I think you get what I'm trying to say.
Well, yeah. Well, this is where the visual diffing you mentioned a few episodes back would come into play. I mean, maybe not in Figma necessarily, but just the concept of visual diffing. I mean, code, yeah, you're still finding lingering things that haven't been converted, but it's a relatively easy trail to track down and compared to other types of media like text. You've got version control, you've got git blame, you've got git log. There's like a ton of different tools you can use to track down and figure out the history of something and why it changed, because you have everything, you've got the whole knowledge. But diffing designs and tracking all those changes and synchronizing the state of that to your real thing, that's a full-time job.
Green Jenny in the chat says JPEG blame is awesome. Yeah. So I mean, Figma does have a change log.
Oh, hold on. What is slow down. What is JPEG blame?
I think they're making a joke. Like if you could, like WebP blame.
See, I don't even know. I mean, that could be a real thing for all I know.
Right. So Figma does have a change log that designers can add to, but it's
you could do it with SVG. Formal. Sorry.
Right. But the change log in Figma is not like a formal thing. You have to actually make the snapshot or commit or whatever.
You have to look at it. Yeah.
But then I also have to go and look at it. So our process is we have a Notion board, and when they change things in the UI kit that is a meaningful difference, and we've had many discussions on what meaningful is.
Sure.
Then they file a ticket in a certain column where I go and look at it, and then we debate. Is this a good change? Are we changing for the sake of change? Does this change introduce anything new conceptually? Does this change, all the different permutations you can go through, and then if we're like, okay, this is good now, then I'll add a ticket to Jira. So this takes up a lot of my time.
You're the gatekeeper into Jira.
I'm the gatekeeper, yeah. And what I've been doing with Jira, and so this is more interesting. Like maybe it's not interesting to people, but it's one thing I'm trying out is. There are no tickets that just free float in the backlog. Every ticket is part of an epic. And so I might be, misusing epics here because I have one epic for hi-fi UI kit updates, and it's just ever growing thing, but that's my bucket. That's where they go. And why I kind of like this is because they all belong in a place. One I'll get into this in a minute, but one thing I'm trying to do is I'm trying to keep a ratio of new like product work to engineering and housekeeping work, like trying to keep a ratio going forward. And so I use these epics to help myself sort of catalog everything, and I can see the progress bars because each epic in Jira has like a progress bar of like open to closed and stuff. So, but the other thing I wasn't expecting was that I could, I could bring these big epics now into meetings and talk about like, why is this growing so large? Like it's a category. It like actually shows me like all the changes that have happened, and then I can go back because they're all there and say, okay, well, we changed this thing 3 times. Why was that? Was it a result of research or was it a result of change for the sake of change? Right. So I have some processes that are helping me sort of deal with this, but it's still a lot of manual work.
Yeah, tell me a little bit more about this ratio thing. This sounds interesting and kind of, what's the word? I don't know. Let me try that again because I don't know what I was going for there. Tell me a little bit more about this ratio thing. This sounds interesting, and I'm curious how you came up with whatever your ratio number is.
Yeah, so I actually just stole it from an article written by Sarah Ito. I'll put a link to this in show notes as well. But she's been writing some really great articles on CSS tricks about engineering management. Like articles that they're very timely for me, and I need them. And I'm very thankful for her. I should DM her and just say thank you for writing these because they're helpful for me. But one of the things she talked about was how do you maintain the balance of product work versus, I think she called it product work versus like the engineering side of it, or like housekeeping work. And she was talking about how, like sometimes you have to sell this to different stakeholders, right? So it's the article kind of breaks down, but what it boils down to is you basically just have to pick what makes sense for your company. Some companies is 50-50, right? You spend half of your time working on new additions, half of your time making sure that the rest of the ship is shored up and not falling behind. Some companies 70-30, 90-10, right? It doesn't matter. It just has to be a decision that's agreed upon by sort of everybody involved, including the non-technical people, the management, right? So that way, like I could go back to Lindsay, for example, be like, Lindsay, we agreed 70-30. So, you want this feature to be done, but we still have 25% of this other stuff that we need to do that's also equally as important. And Lindsay understood over the long term, like if we didn't deal with that stuff, then it became much a larger issue than just trying to add new code, so that was sort of an understanding that we had. But you kind of have to come to that understanding with your team and your stakeholders. And so for us, we've had that conversation with our client, and luckily for us, our clients, the people we talk to every day, are very technical. Some of them are currently doing dev, and most of them have been devs in their careers. So they sort of understand the importance of this. So, for us, it's like 70-30. As long as they can show their stakeholders that, like their CEOs and their one CEO and like their C-level people and whoever else, that progress is being made towards these things that they want, then they're happy. And if we don't spend that 30% of the time kind of tending to the garden, then that could affect the 70% that you're trying to get done in the long run, right? So yeah, that's kind of like what I meant by ratio, is like trying to figure out what that means for your team and your company and trying to schedule accordingly.
Yeah, and you can't just base it off the number of tickets, right? Because some tickets are small, some are big. In terms of time and effort, right? But what it reminds me of is like if you have a 401k, they have these retirement funds that are the target date retirement funds, where you say, I'm this age, and then you're expected to retire when you're 65 and the year 2045. And so what they do is when you're putting money to the 401k, they start off when you're young in really sort of more riskier investments, right? And then as you get older and closer to the time where you're going to actually need to take the money out, they slowly slide the scale towards more conservative things like bonds and whatever. And so I'm kind of picturing that kind of sliding scale where when you start, it's always feature. And then as the thing matures, it just naturally goes, the ratio kind of shifts more towards upkeep and bug fixing and optimization and engineering work, as you said. That's kind of how I'm visualizing it.
Right. Like if you're if you're building a house, you probably want to like clean up the construction site at sometimes, right?
I mean, I'm still have my Christmas tree up. Does that count?
Yeah. Otherwise you start stepping on nails and hitting your head on stuff. But I mean, there's a lot of other really, like the article is really worth reading. Again, I can probably look it up now if make editing harder for you, of course. But
we'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah, there's other stuff too that she mentions, like, okay, you have like a ratio, like you've agreed, okay, we're going to fit this many housekeeping tasks in over the long term to keep things healthy. But there are more considerations that you have to make, like, what if you have to make like a data migration? Then, is that ticket probably needs more than just one person working on it, right? Like you probably need oversight, like, people helping people or multiple eyes on it. So like you said, like what is the percentage, right? It's probably not just straight points. So that ticket might be your 30% for your, for your sprint, right? That one thing that has to be done. And there's other tickets like, okay, so maybe it's not technically difficult, but it's probably something that people might need to be aware of. Like if it's a business rule change or something that has context or adds meaningful context to like the history of the project. So
please stand by. We are experiencing technical difficulties. Please accept this apology on behalf of DNC and Sean Washington. Welcome back.
Weird. Check.
Yeah, you got abducted from your ship there. Tell us about your experience. Was there a white light? Did they probe you?
Well, my eyes are getting better, so maybe they fixed them. The CPU on this laptop has been like 90% for the last 40 minutes. So, yeah.
Nice.
I forget what I was talking about.
Me too.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like spreading context around so your team
Sure.
isn't siloed. And then the last thing she talked about was also kind of like effort. Like maybe people, like if I'm just always doing the 30%, maybe I get bored of maintenance and I want to do something new. So sometimes you just need to rotate your team around to keep things fresh. But yeah, super good article. We're basically just doing that. So I was able to like share that article with the people I've been talking to about it, because I was like, this basically sums up what I was going to try to say, but it says it better anyway. So there you go.
It's a time-saving technique right there.
Yep.
Well, cool, man. It sounds like a lot of work, but I don't know. You feel like you're on the right path?
I think so. I mean, I'm still striving to get back to like my programming and programming learning, like just trying to build stuff at the end of the day. So if anything, it like makes me more eager to get to it, which is nice because I'm not doing that often. I'm like, okay, all the design stuff is done. I can go program now. That's kinda how it feels like.
You can you got to eat your dinner before you have your dessert. Something like that. It's a metaphor in there somewhere.
And I know like last time I talked about wanting to follow up a little bit on message base, but I think it was even last week where I was like, I feel really good. I just like had all that caffeine and then just crashed and went to sleep. So anyway, like the last week, I actually haven't really done that much programming outside of work. I've been more so just chilling. So yeah, I haven't really launched anything yet, but so Jamie's on another project right now anyway. So I got some time.
That's good.
Yeah, I bought myself some time.
That's cool. I don't think I had any follow-up questions on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay. I haven't been focused on other stuff, and I haven't worked on waveguide V2 in whatever form it may take yet either. So I feel you.
Yeah, it's been like a good but long week, you know, just trying to make sure I don't get burnt out. And I've had a lot of other like non-computer work that I should probably be doing anyway. So I've just been working on that.
I saw your backyard. That grass is getting a little long.
The grass is no longer long.
Oh, good. See, there you go.
So what sucks is that for anyone that doesn't know, I have so another thing I want to know is like, what does everyone call these? Like weed whackers, weed eaters, string trimmers, I've heard them called.
Oh, so many terms. Weed whacker, I think, is the colloquial, at least here in Massachusetts or in Connecticut, Northeast area. Weed whacker.
The weed whacker was in Midwest as well, I think. Weed whacker and weed eater. Weed whacker. We'll call it weed whacker. So some critter has eaten the spark plug wire off my weed whacker, so I can't use it. So I cut all of the grass and weeds down with a hand scythe.
Oh my god! I don't envy that.
But it was good. Like it gave me a lot of outside time, podcast listening, and like reflection time while I was just smacking grass down.
My biggest advice with owning any two-stroke engine: don't try to mix your own gasoline. Just buy the pre-mixed from Home Depot. Yes, it's expensive. You will not regret it. For the one jug of it you have to buy a year to blow the leaves and whack the weeds, buy the freaking can of 50-to-1 mix. You won't spill oil everywhere. Your thing won't be spewing smoke because it's burning off all the oil. I've done all these things. Don't make these same mistakes. This is not I know this is weird advice for a tech podcast, but trust me.
I think there's a lot of tech advice in there, right?
Oh my God.
Don't build your own auth, right? Something like that. Is that
Yeah. Just abstract it away. It's a dependency. Home Depot
Yeah,
dependency.
Yeah, man. So another actually thing that has been really fun is one of the developers that I've been coaching. One of their like mid to long term goals is to be more of an architect, like a software architect. So by that I mean they want to be able to look at a business problem and prescribe technical solutions to it.
I'm sorry, I got distracted by
What the world?
whipper-snipper.
Yeah, the chat is going wild about this.
Whipper-snipper is such a great, like, walkie-talkie.
Kid Queb's in here, like trying to tell me to build like a motorized scooter with a weed whacker just hanging off the side of it. I'm not trying to do naval combat in my backyard.
Well, you could no. What you do is you get on the longboard, right, and then you kind of turn the weed whacker sideways so the strings are digging into the ground. You can propel yourself forward with that.
Yeah,
flawless.
Oh,
bomb down that hill in the backyard. End up in the pool. Drain the pool and get some sweet vert. Telling you, man.
Yeah, that needs to happen anyway. But there's the whole fish ecosystem that live in it right now, so I don't want to destroy that world too. Watson likes to just look over the edge and watch them.
Wait, you have legit fish living in your pool?
A bunch of minnows, yeah.
Oh, God. How did they even get there?
I don't know. They were there when I showed up, so...
Squatters.
The pool will come out at some point, but it's that's a future project.
one at a time.
Side note, if anyone listening to the show knows how to take out a pool, let me know. Follow up to that follow-up. If anyone knows how to build a retaining wall, slide into the DMs, please.
Yeah, I can't help you there. One project I luckily haven't had to do yet.
Yeah, it's a whole thing.
It is a whole thing.
Having to learn more about life.
And if you do it wrong, it's a real whole thing.
Right. Yeah. So we'll talk about it at the after show. But I've experienced.
I'm gonna cut all of this.
Right.
All right. So I'm sorry. You were talking about turning business requests in business specs into technical things.
Oh yeah, one of their mid to long term goals was to be more of like a software architect, and like you just said, having a client come in saying like this is what we want to build, and then you being like, okay, well you probably want this, and you probably need that, and you probably want to avoid this, right?
Okay.
So the only way to get there is by doing it, and so one of the things we're doing in our coaching time is I'm just coming up with a list of project ideas, and then we have a Notion database, and each row is just a product idea, which I've stolen from the internet, and
just go on a Y Combinator or whatever, and just take whatever's at the top. What's that other site with all the startups?
Product Hunt.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then so I just write a paragraph about what it is and a few user stories, and I'm like, all right, here's this one. Have fun. Let me know if you get stuck, and we'll talk about it when we meet next. And so they get to go and research, and they're not writing any code or anything, but they're just going to prescribe approaches, tech, maybe like integrations and services and things like that. And that's been a really fun exercise to go through, because it's fun for me too, because I have to actually like think about how would I do this, and why would I be right about this if they disagree, you know?
Well, yeah. So how do you go and pick a tech if you've never used the tech before?
This is a good question.
You can't just go by the hero box on the front of the website. Like that's no good. You can't go by GitHub stars. So that's fraught. I mean,
so my question, my follow up to that is, how do you know that you can't just go off of GitHub stars?
I mean, if you're doing a software architecture job from a high level, you sort of intrinsically need to have the low level understanding of what the thing is and what its benefits are, and what more importantly, where the gotchas are, right? What's going to stop you from being successful? Like
Sure.
I could never. Yeah. Sorry.
So the goal of the
it's a fun-
exercise
Yeah.
isn't necessarily to be like, okay, you've written me 3 paragraphs about why you might build these 3 services for this application. Like that's not necessarily the goal. The goal is to teach this person how to explore exactly what you're talking about. Like you can't just take what it says on the hero because most of the time that's the best case scenario at best, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So part of the goal is opening up that rabbit hole or exposing the iceberg of like, okay, well, I think that we should use Mongo, for example, for this app. And then I'll be like, well, did you know that Mongo doesn't always write to disk sometimes? For example, right?
You sure? Yes, that's okay. Yeah.
So the goal more is like to open that conversation and to expose this person to different areas and then have them go research the areas, right? So, for example, if they pick something that may not be a good fit, like maybe they read something and they thought it would be, and I might disagree, I could go get a second opinion from someone on the lead team and come back and be like, okay, I disagree, here's why, and here are a few reading points for you, or here's an area for you to go research, right? So it's sort of like when a person wants to learn how to program, at some point you have to find some toy projects for them to build. And then in building the toy project, they unearth a massive amount of subjects to learn about. It's kind of a similar idea, but it's from evaluating tech to solve a certain problem.
Yeah. Okay. As you describe it more, I'm starting to get the value in the thought exercise for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely a thought exercise, and it's definitely not or write me a few sentences about how you would use Firebase and whatever else for this thing. It's definitely not that.
To me, the more interesting part is taking the next step, like MVP phase. Like you said, all these hero boxes on all the pages have the best case scenario. If you pick the tech by the best case scenario, it's exactly solving the problem you should have. It should be very easy to go from 0 to, I don't even want to call it MVP, just like proof of concept, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that might be a fun logical next step is like, okay, what's it really like? What are these tools actually like? You don't need to necessarily understand all the nuances of the language or the framework you're using, but just building something that you can poke at and show someone, I think would be valuable as well.
Totally. Yeah, totally. And there's L&D time for that too, so they can actually use some time throughout the week to maybe kick around building some of it. Like if they made a decision, I'd be like, all right, now you try to make it with the tools you picked, maybe lay a trap for them or something. I don't know. But,
hot dog or not hot dog?
Right. But like just, getting the repetition, it just takes time. And I think like the nice thing about this is that it's not like a thing that happens on the side of work where it consumes all of your time, right? It's a metered approach where you spend time thinking about it, but not all your time thinking about it.
All or nothing, Sean. $10,000 a month or bust.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, I've been a big fan of this. Like I'm just starting it, but I've really enjoyed it, and it's been beneficial for me too. Like I mentioned, actually, I don't even think we talked about the MR PR template thing I'm working on too. But I'm trying to do a lot of this. Like I'm trying to do a bunch of different things, but mostly they're just like selfish for me. Like I'm doing them for me first, but also for other people.
I mean, those are the best kind of projects. How do you think I got where I am here? Just working on stuff that I thought was cool that other people might also find cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you stay motivated, man.
Yeah, definitely.
Not that where I am is anywhere special. Just using it as an example.
I don't know. I mean, you built a company and sustained yourself with it, so that's something
Sure.
that a lot of people have not done.
Sure. Yeah. But yeah. Anyway.
Side note: I can read now. Like I can read the screen from here with my glasses.
Oh no!
On, so I'm back.
It's good. You can slowly decrease the font size in your editor.
Right.
But
yeah, so like that's what I don't know what I've been up to, and honestly, like I've been at MetaLab for more than 6 months now, and all things considered, I think I'm definitely glad that I made the decision. Like I'm still feeling positive about it. So
it feels like it's been longer than that. 6 months,
maybe 7 months. I don't know.
It's been a long winter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of consulting gigs.
Yeah. I was gonna follow up on that. Like how things going with? You mentioned the name last time, right?
Yeah.
I can say the name. Yeah. How are things going with Dockyard?
So I guess they were still ironing out some red lines. I don't know what a red line is. It's probably something in a contract. I don't know. They're ironing out some stuff with the client. So they didn't actually get to kick off this week. But I've got my onboarding next week, Monday morning. Got my laptop here. It came preloaded with stickers from the previous occupant, which is cool. Got to throw a DNC sticker on there for the next person. And I got that set up with my development environment as much as I could. I didn't make too many assumptions. I installed my tools, but I have no idea, anything beyond that.
Right. I think redlining is like contract stuff, legal stuff.
Wow. That was
Oh no, Rockwell's gone now.
No, the whole thing just stayed. So
You back?
I'm back. Can you hear me? Oh, there I am. I'm refreshing. Stop. Can you hear me?
You back? Check. Well, can everyone still see and hear me? Am I back? Rockwell's not in the green room at all. I don't know where he went. The aliens came for him this time. I didn't really want to, but I think we might have to find an alternative to our current streaming provider.
Sean, for some reason, I see you in the stream, but I can't hear you because you're not in the green room.
I had to join the green room again. Yeah.
Myself. All right, we good? We back?
I think we're back. What happened?
Dude, I don't know, but this is not 5 nines of uptime like I was promised.
No, it's not. I was just talking about how we might have to look into...
Yeah, you keep that. Really should do it.
Yeah.
We
were talking about laptops in Dockyard, yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, so Shiroi, and yeah, for people who missed it last week, I'm doing a 6-month contract gig with Dockyard, starting next week. So doing remote Phoenix live view Elixir stuff for them. So I'm super excited about that.
That is really cool.
Yeah. So you contributed to LiveView today. Sweet. It needs contributions because it's gotten pretty, from everything I'm seeing, it's gotten pretty complex squid of features and JS and all kinds of stuff in there. But anyway, yeah. Yeah, setting up a new laptop. I don't know, whatever. It's gonna be nice having a separate laptop just for that work, to help me sort of keep it compartmentalized between the whole rest of my life and that job. And obviously, the security aspects. That's why they do that. But keep all the data and content and stuff on there. But it'll be nice having that separation. I got to figure out my desk /monitor situation now because I don't really have. I've got a 4K on my gaming PC over here, I could use it as a second input, and then I have an external monitor, but then I don't really want to be working over there. I don't know. I got to figure it out. This is all not that exciting, but now I'm trying to decide, do I need a separate workspace too, to just really disconnect? I can't just work on the 13-inch laptop screen all day. That's a non-starter.
It's pretty difficult to do that because when I work on my table outside, I just have my 13-inch work computer, and I come back into the office if I have to do anything major.
Right, exactly. Maybe I'll have to join that ultra wide gang. I think that might be what's next.
I really, really enjoy the ultra wide. I feel like I'd have a hard time going back away from the ultra wide.
Sure. Even the 27-inch, the regular 16:9 is really not cutting it for me. I went down from 2 monitors to 1 here on my main computer, and I just spend most of my time switching windows. So I either need to get better at that or get some more real estate. I don't know yet. So yeah, no news, but hopefully more news next week.
I'm looking forward to talking about what you can talk about in regards to stuff you're working on, because I'm here in JS land 100% of the time, and I don't know. There's so much of it still feels so over-engineered. So I can't help shake the feeling that whatever I'm working on at the time is just, why does it have to be this way most of the time? Don't get me wrong, I find React useful, and React itself is the concepts, functions and very functional components and things like that are nice to work with, but the larger abstractions that we add on to the top, it's just a lot of stuff. It's just so much stuff.
And meanwhile, Elixir is done. That's it. There's no more Elixir features planned. They're adding just-in-time compilation in the latest Erlang OTP releases, so everything Elixir is just going to get faster for free with zero work. That's going to be awesome. It's a whole different world.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I mean, when I was interviewing at MetaLab, I was told that a lot of the back-end stuff would be Rails, traditionally had been Rails unless client requested otherwise. And after being around here a little bit, it's Node all the way down. So I'm in Node land 100% of the time.
Yeah, I've been out of the Elixir ecosystem. I'm doing it day to day, but I haven't been keeping up with the state of the art. So it's going to be I'm going to be kind of thrown into that and getting back into that swing of things and seeing what's on the horizon there.
It'll be fun to compare and contrast things.
Yeah, and hopefully, all the awesome people. Luke Imhoff and Chris McCord and his name's escaping me. The Nerves guy, I think he's at Dockyard too. All the big players, all the are there. So looking forward to see what they've been working on their Dockyard Fridays, which unfortunately as a contractor, I'm not privy to the goings-ons of Dockyard Fridays. So the way it works is for normal employees is Monday through Thursday is client work. Friday is professional development, work on open source, write blog posts, documentation. It's a development day for them, and I might just do it anyways. I'll probably spend the time working on RHR, to be honest. But it would be cool to sort of do that alongside and actually, I don't know, contribute to something. I've got this big open source Elixir thing that I literally was about to release and just got stuck on the tutorial docs. All the docs are finished except for the getting started tutorial. That's how close I am to releasing this big library, and that was years ago. And I'd love to finish that up and release it, but
yeah.
Anyway, that's all I have to say about that.
I'm definitely looking forward to hearing about it.
Yeah.
I've been trying to think a lot about how, with the stuff I'm working on, the tools I'm using, ecosystem that I'm in, how can I really chase simplicity with the stuff I'm doing? I don't want to just embrace complexity for complexity's sake or for convenience in many scenarios. I really do want to try and figure out okay, what do I like? What are the bare bones that I need to really have here to make this thing like not just a bare bones product, but a good product? And what can I shave away outside of that? So I'm hoping to dig into that more. I've actually like started trying to think like introspectively about things more too. So I have with the other dev that I'm coaching, we sort of have like an accountability pact going on where they're the ones that actually got me to start doing work journals. So I think I talked about this in Discord or shared a link to this, something about this in the Discord, but just keeping like big things that I've worked on and like my general or like really short kind of like quick thoughts about those things. And it's been nice to be able to look over really quickly, like at the end of the week, look at what I've been writing about and then trying to connect dots. Like, is there a theme throughout the week? Is there something that I've been like sort of thinking about each day, but not as a whole, if that makes any sense?
Yeah, I was reading through the contractor guides that they sent over to me. And there was a lot in there about, you're expected to, it's all the normal stuff, but, expected to write documentation and tests and whatever. And I'm thinking to myself, I do try to write docs. I try to take notes on things that I know are going to forget or going to be problematic in the future. I try to comment. I don't write tests at all, but, I'm obviously going to have to get good at that. But, but that's only because I've been doing stuff for me. When I'm doing stuff for someone else, I'm so much more motivated to get that on paper and get it done and get it right and make it high quality. It's like the analogy I think of is like having a roommate, right? Like if I lived by myself, I would probably be kind of a slob. I just leave stuff out, food, the sink that can wait, laundry that can wait, bed, you don't really need to make it. But when you've got a roommate or partner or significant other or whatever, they're someone's judging you. I don't know, you just I just feel that much more motivated to make things nice, because the other person's, you got to share that space, and when you're writing code, you're sharing space with someone. So I want to try to keep that neat, tidy, and I know that's going to be time and a lot of work, but that is going to be a change, and also just spending a lot more time in meetings. I imagine that's going to be a large adjustment period for me. Yeah. I'm working on a team. I don't know if I can say how big the team is, but it's a larger team than one. So,
Sure.
And I'm coming in the middle of an existing project, so there's going to be a lot of overhead that I'm going to have to get caught on pretty quickly. So
it sounds a lot like I almost said the client's name. Sounds about like when I started working on this project. It's kind of same thing, inheriting it, taking over for someone else that was running it. Blah blah blah, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The analogy that was coming to mind when you're talking about writing docs and all that stuff is like, because we're working for consulting firms, like the stuff we're working on now, it's essentially like a rental car, right? You're going to be turning this thing in to somebody else at some point. And,
ideally,
yeah. It's kind of like, yeah.
And if they don't want it back, just go crash into a tree.
Right. Anyway, yeah, that's cool. Well, I guess everything to say that like I'm excited to learn more about or hear about what you're learning and working on with Elixir.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, but don't worry, 6 months of that. We got 24 episodes of that coming up, coming to a podcast player near you. But in the meantime, where can they find those show notes, Sean?
At dnc.show, I believe. I think that's right. I'm pretty sure
Is
that's
that right?
Yeah. Yeah. So the articles I talked about written by Sarah, splitting time between product and engineering efforts and mistakes I've made as an engineering manager are going to be linked there. Also, work log template for software engineers is going to be linked there. And Shy Ryan is basically just dropping a ton of Elixir knowledge in the chat too, so I'll have to grab some of these Elixir things and put them in show notes as well.
I'm a simple man. I see a pipeline operator, I upvote.
It's coming to JS at some point.
Coming to Python too at some point. Or no, it was pattern match? I don't remember.
I miss pattern matching.
You can reach us on Twitter. The show is DNC Cast. Sean is Sean Washbot, and I'm Rockwell.
What is next? I think the Discord, right? Discord community, the greater DNC
yeah,
community.
we're all out of order now. Yeah, you can do Discord,
Yeah.
and I'll do Twitch.
Yeah. So, if you're looking for a community to plug into, if you've been listening to the show for a while and haven't reached out, or haven't felt compelled to embrace the larger DNC ecosystem and community, this is me compelling you to. The Discord's great. There's lots of helpful conversations happening in there, lots of encouragement, lots of knowledge sharing. So if you can, if you find yourself working from home, working remotely, and you're not used to it or haven't really been adjusting to it, and you're looking for a place to kind of hang out through the day as you work and just talk with other people and share knowledge, then we've got a community for you. And if you check the show notes, then you will see towards the bottom there's a section for Discord, and there'll be a link to an invite for you.
You know, it's another cool place to hang out. It's our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/DNCcast. We're streaming every night. Not every night. We're streaming every week for one night. Thursday is the day of the week that we are streaming. 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Today, Sean is powering through his diluted eyes after his eye appointment, and he's sitting on the bridge of what looks like the ship from Spaceballs.
It's from one of the latest Star Wars films. I don't know which one.
Same thing.
Sometimes I use the Sith throne.
the red one with the big drapes.
The one that kind of looks like the Iron Throne from the last Jedi.
Yep.
Yeah, if I'm doing a sprint kickoff or planning meeting, I'll use the Sith throne.
Does it give you unlimited power?
That's what I'm trying to convey.
Put the client in their place.
So what's fun about this client is that based off of the background picture that I choose, they know that I'm trying to send a message, and they'll try to guess what it is.
Oh no! It's like trying to divine some meaning in those Apple keynote emails that they send out. Like,
yeah.
What is this? The 3 colors. What does that mean? Are they going to do 3 colors of an iPad? What's he trying to tell us?
It's kind of like that. It's actually really fun. So
just keep them guessing.
Yeah.
Great. Well, all right, man. Keep the grass short, your spirits high, and I'll see you next week.
We got to keep the grass short to keep the ticks out of here.
Oh, dude, I was outside for like 5 minutes on the first nice day of the year. Already came back with a tick on me. Mm-hmm. That is nonsense.
Yeah, I don't need to be finding ticks on Watson.
I was actually doing a live stream for a ham radio thing while it was happening. And so the tick was crawling on me, and then I just instinctively flicked my hand, and the tick was gone. I don't know. I called Jess to help me find the tick. We did not find the tick. The tick now lives rent-free in my office.
Hopefully Bucky didn't find it.
Oh, God. I have a story about that, but that's for another day.
All right. Well, thanks, man. Thanks, everybody, for not making too much fun of me because I couldn't read the chat earlier. I can read it now, though. I'll scroll through the history and find out what you guys were saying. I can't believe they let me drive home like that.
The jig is up.
Actively encouraged me to get the heck out of there so they can let more people in. Oh, well, I made it. I'm safe.
All right. We're glad.
All right. I'll talk to you next week.
See you, man. 1 hour and 1 minute. Like clockwork, Sean. We are so good. We're so good. Remember when the show used to be like, what did we start? It was like 30 minutes, 40 minutes? Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the kind of shiz is what I will use tap to replace. I'm mentally like trying to wrap my head around tap. Okay, response equals. Oh, I see. Tap is just you just passed it. It has 0 args that you pass into it. Is that right? Tap returns the original value. Oh, versus then, which tap returns the original value. Right, like IOInspect does. IOInspect is tap. That makes sense. So, but then it returns returns the value of the function. Must return the value of the foo function in your example. Got it. Okay. We are on the same page. Those are two very valuable additions, and I'm surprised it took them this long, even with their, resistance to change. They're good functions, Brant.
Good functions.
Watson.
I was making sure he was behaving behind me.
We have these neighbors, and their dog's name is Jasper. You want to know how to know the dog's name is Jasper?
Is they yell it?
Jasper! Guess what? Spoiler, Jasper never listens.
Becoming more acutely aware of these things. Knowing about the neighbors because
couldn't that tap be a zero arity? No, I guess it couldn't because you have to pass it in. You got a question there, Sean. I don't know if you can see it.
It's on the floor behind me. It's constructed out of PVC pipe. Costs like $12.
Paul had a good idea using retractable clothesline hangers. Mm-hmm. So like, because I've got a wall here and a wall here, right? And just zip line it across, and then I can just lay the green screen on it. Could be a thing.
Yeah, that could work. I can mostly take this thing apart or just like scoot it against the wall when I'm not using it because I don't have it behind me all the time.
And if you have a pipe that breaks, you could just repurpose it.
The material was from a green screen that I got on Amazon, just green cloth. That's all. It has some clips and Velcro on it, which is nice, so I can actually make sure that the surface itself is flat and doesn't have wrinkles or ruffles in it. Yeah, that's true, Ryan. But also, I don't know technically, since Jamie sits behind me, I don't know technically if it's better just for me to not have the camera be able to see stuff on her screen.
That's PII, man. She's a lawyer. You can't be seeing that stuff. You can't be putting that on the stream. You can't be blasting that out.
Yeah, she has some cases, like actual cases she's working on now. So, yeah, I just keep the background covered.
I just keep the flea market going in the office.
I'm using my phone for a camera, and I have to actually have a pretty wide green screen behind it to not have like edges visible.
Which camera are you using? The regular?
Yeah, Thomas, that's fine. I'm using Epic Cam as an app.
Yeah, I've used that too. But yeah, that default camera on the iPhone is pretty wide by default.
Mm.
Yeah.
So I zoom in and crop it a little bit. But yeah, Thomas, she's up in I think Olympia is where she's visiting somebody right now. So she's up in Thomas's country.
Oh.
Well, I would have liked to have visited, but yeah, I can expound more off stream.
Sure. So we just launched this new feature on RHR just before we went live, actually. Big, awesome new feature for us, which is probably not a great time to do it right before I'm starting a new job, and I'm not gonna have time to do bug fixes. But as much as I made fun of move fast and break things, that's how we're still doing things over here. So I'm looking at the logs here. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Myself is 9, 10. We've already had 10 people use this feature, and we launched it 2 hours ago.
Are you able to count that because of data that the feature adds, or?
Well, so I'm looking through. our logbook. So like when you make a contact in ham radio, you can log it, and we have our own logbook. And so I'm just looking through the logbook and seeing if people are using it. And so far, every single contact made since I launched that feature has been using that feature. It's awesome.
Oh,
it's kind of
go ahead.
It's kind of like a guest book. Two-way guest book.
To my site.
Oh my God, remember that? Those were the days. That would never fly on the internet now. It'd just be Viagra ads and
ham on the blockchain. You have to call that Hawk chain.
So you joke about this, Thomas, but we there's oh man. So this is a whole thing. I don't know enough about blockchain to speak intelligently about this, but in ham radio, there's a concept of, they call it a QSL, and what it is like a confirmation that I made a contact with you, right? It's exchange of a little bit of a piece of information. Traditionally, this is done via postcard. So I would talk to you on the air, you would talk to me, we would confirm this contact, you send me a postcard, and the postcard says, please send me a response, and then I send you a postcard back, and then that's it, that could just confirmed. And guess what? There are entire award systems based around sending postcards. You go to these ham conventions and you bring your envelope full of hundreds of postcards, and someone goes through and confirms them and checks it and gives you an award. It's a real thing. So
it's a major award.
It's a major reward, exactly. That's honestly what it feels like. And I guess blockchain is like the perfect use case for that, because there's this ledger and it's fully traceable and etc. I don't know how you exchange the information over the air, whether it be digitally or you digitally sign something. I don't know how it would work, but can you imagine blockchain QSLs? Like it's kind of the perfect use case. And I hate whatever blockchain stands for. I don't even know.
BFTs, baby.
BFTs? Is that like an NFT? I've got a bucket full of QSL cards here that I have not even opened because I just can't even bother. I get so many. Yeah, exactly, Thomas. Seems legit. Some of my friends were talking about it, and I don't know if they ever implemented it.
I wanted to ask if, I guess, gauge opinions here. So I've been talking to someone from Super Tokens, and we have a couple of possible scenarios. So we could do a show where we talk to the person I've been talking about that kind of covers the business side of building an auth as a service platform. Kind of, origin story to now. We could do a show where we talk about the technical side of authentication, right? All the complex bits, why it's really hard to do right, etc. Or we could do both. Is there a side of that conversation that people would want to hear more about? The business side or like the technical side?
¿Por qué no los dos? I have an opinion, but I want to see what the chat says first.
Yeah. So, I've been talking to him and I was like, hey, we could do both, but I don't want to you guys are busy, I don't want to eat up a bunch of your time and stuff.
We could go 2 hours. I'd do it.
So they would be with two different people. One person for the business, one person for the tech.
Oh, I didn't pick up on that. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a different discussion then. Okay.
It is free advertising, true.
Really interesting.
It'd be cool to do both. Yeah.
Auth is a big problem that I have right now. I'm going to have to solve as one of my steps for making our business, stable.
Right. I'm trying to get Greg to build a plugin for Super Tokens into Railway. I'm lobbying for that plugin. But yeah, it sounds like people would be interested in both. So
yeah,
I'll continue that conversation.
I think so too. Yeah, I think we talk a lot about both of sides of those things on this show, and I think that's probably the way to go.
Cool. I will respond to the tweet then, or DM rather.
Aight.
Never heard of super tokens? Yeah, it's relatively new. I can get a link real quick.
This is the super tokens. Auth should never be a problem again. And it's super new. I mean, coming soon two-factor auth and Magic Links. Like, they got a Discord too.
Yeah, so Anthony, that's actually how I found out about super tokens, was from the Blitz's docs.
Oh, interesting.
Right. One of the co-founders of it helped the technical, advise the technical implementation, or maybe even design the technical implementation for Blitz's auth, because Blitz ships with a full auth setup.
Yes, it looks like you can do open source or pay for hosted, which is honestly probably the perfect business model. Honestly,
pricing is pretty good too.
Yeah,
totally it's interesting that Auth0, Okta just bought Auth0, right? Okta's crazy expensive, right? Okta's like a single sign-on. We use it at MetaLab.
Okay, but it's some kind of enterprisey thing.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is weird because Auth0 is not that. It's pretty easy to just kind of roll your own and just throw into whatever you're building.
Right.
I mean, it does a lot too. I haven't used it, but I've had to integrate with it.
Yeah, our client currently is using Auth0. Paul, right? Perfect match. That was my main thing with Auth0 was man, it gets real expensive.
Yeah.
So super tokens is if you can pull it off, it's a kind of a nice fit for that spot. And the fact that you can install it on a server and run it. Shoot, there's another one that Greg sent me. It's not necessarily just auth, but I'm gonna have to go digging through a text. I can barely use my computer right now because it's Java.
You know what you should not do? It's try to roll your own key cloak thing.
Oh my god.
Key cloak. I don't know if the people who set this up don't know what they're doing, or Keycloak is just bad. But this particular website that I have to integrate with for one of my apps uses Keycloak for authentication, and it's a royal nightmare. It's just bad. It's just bad. It's just none of the convention makes sense. Two-factor auth. Man, I don't want to get into it. Throwing Keycloak open source auth under the bus. I don't care.
I found the thing he was telling me about the other day. It's called Userbase.
Userbase.
It's like auth stuff made for more static-y Jamstack stuff.
Oh, so
but
what's interesting auth.
Yeah, but what's interesting is it offers end-to-end encryption for all that stuff.
User-controlled keys. So how is that controlled?
Couldn't tell you.
I mean, God forbid you put it in a PWA and iOS decides to just wipe your local storage because you haven't touched the app in 30 seconds. Then you lost your keys. You lost your keys to the kingdom.
Yeah, they have a write-up on architecture and
I'm sure there's a reason. There's a thing for it.
Yeah.
Actually, it's funny. What was I? I don't remember. Oh, do you want to circle back on this MongoDB thing? Because we never got to talk about that on the show. I wanted to pull this. It's been a while since I've since I've looked this up. From my understanding, the way MongoDB works is that it's so performant because it doesn't always write to disk. It buffers some stuff in memory and only dumps it to disk as a cache backup mechanism. once every couple seconds or once a minute or something, depending on how you configure it. And that's what keeps it performant. Or one of the things that keeps it performant. But and then if you gracefully shut it down, obviously it will, do the right thing. But not great when someone pulls the power plug from out from under you. Why would you be using MongoDB with those kind of consistency problems? And you're just,
It's probably because it's easy to embed.
yeah, but like local, like just use SQLite, like you compile that on a freaking stick of gum, like, yeah. Yeah, Redis, I think this does a similar thing, Paul, but Redis is meant to be a temporary cache. MongoDB is a source of truth. Not so much.
I need to reread designing data intensive applications. Like I kind of skimmed it. I didn't really read it. I want a nice e-ink thing to read on. They're so expensive though.
Nice. What makes the e-ink thing nice? Just being big or
easier in my eyes.
Okay. Like a Kindle's not cutting it? Is that I don't know enough about them.
Kobo. I have a Kobo, but it's old as it basically barely moves. It's like if my Kobo, it'd be like using my computer right now with the CPU slammed at 90. Remarkable is cool. It's like $500 though, right? I mean, I have an iPad. I could just read on the iPad, but for me, reading on the iPad isn't. I don't retain it, and I can't tell if that's because of the medium or if it's because I just get distracted because it's an iPad.
Yeah, I feel that.
But I like to read early in the morning or late at night, and the iPad just blasts my eyeballs.
Yeah, it's not good.
Both of those times. The Kobo Forma.
I didn't even realize
I just got that stimmy. Maybe I should pick up a.
Keep that economy going, man.
Yeah.
I didn't realize there were so many ink readers. I never looked really.
There are a lot of them, yeah. Remarkable looks really cool, Thomas. Yeah, I forget which one I have, Ryan, but it's never been snappy either. I was holding on to this.
Thomas with the Bueller's Day Off deep cut.
Oh, that felt good. Concept is really good. One thing I've been doing lately, Paul, I can't remember, a few episodes ago we talked about one of the challenges of the engineering lead portion is, or the engineering lead role is trying to figure out which work can be done in parallel. Because they're both frozen. Yeah, trying to figure out which work can be done in parallel, and I just do flowcharts now for this stuff. I have to I break down the feature into tasks, and I just drag them around, draw arrows, and figure out which can be done in parallel that way. It works really well. Yeah, Ryan, I can't do that on the Kobo that I have currently. It's too old.
I have an important question for you and for the chat.
What's that?
You have a laptop, traditional laptop. You have a sticker. You're going to put the sticker on the laptop. What orientation do you put the sticker on? Do you put the sticker so that when the laptop lid is facing towards you, the sticker is upright? Or do you put the sticker on such that when the laptop is open, the sticker is upright? I'll call those A and B. Sticker facing you or sticker facing away. Yeah, okay. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Anthony. Yes, obviously facing, like aligned with the apple. That makes sense. What is this nonsense? This is garbage. Am I gonna have to take all of these off? I already took off a Pepsi sticker. I don't want a Pepsi sticker on there. Yeah. But the problem is I don't have like backup. Like I don't want to get rid of the stickers. I just want to rotate them. But they're on the wrong way.
Well, why did they put? Oh, wait, was this like an employee laptop, and then now they're sending it to?
Yeah.
It's like, why would a contractor put stickers on a laptop? You know.
That's a good. I honestly don't know where this came from. It also has the butterfly keyboard and no escape key and no inverted T arrows and an Intel chip.
Welcome to my life.
It's fine. Everything's fine. Right click, rotate. Command R, Command R. Done. Oh, a laptop case. That's smart. That's smart. Just bury the problem. Just turn up your car's making a noise. Just turn up the stereo. It's fine. I'll know it's under there. I'll know it's wrong. I have some OG Apple stickers here from like original rainbow ones from old Macs that Web Queen dug out of a closet of a closet at the tech department of the school as she worked. She salvaged them before they threw them out.
Now I'm just looking at the Remarkable site, and it looks nice.
Do you put them on things, Ryan, or just hoard them? Hoard. The second one. The first one is World of Warcraft. The second one is the show on Netflix. It's the same thing. Like I kind of like having pins. I don't like collect them, but if I see a nice pin, I'll get a pin for something that I like. But I don't have like a lot of bags to put pins on. Like I just kind of have a drawer full of pins. Not really sure what to do with it. Same thing, same problem.
Be garbage, yeah.
Pins also tend to fall off things if they're not designed correctly. Yeah, exactly, Paul. Yeah, the locking backs are a lie. Did you know that pins are a big thing in Disney, like Disneyland, Disney World, Magic Kingdom, whatever? They're super collectible, and they're like some really rare ones and whatever. And so, and the staff at Disney, they have pins, flair, I guess, and like you can trade with them. If you have some pins and you see a cool one that you want, or it's like it's a super rare one or whatever, you can trade pins with the Disney employees. It's a whole thing. The Pez people. I knew someone like that. One of my teachers from high school, we'd always get him Pez dispensers. He particularly into the Star Wars Pez. He had a lot of Star Wars Pez in his office. The things you remember. Yeah, that and the pile of Beanie Babies in the corner.
I remember that.
What's going on? Excuse me. What's going on over there on the bridge? You gonna attack the Imperial base?
No, I'm just closed the Remarkable tab finally. I gotta dig my Kobo out. It's somewhere in a box here.
I'm trying to think, like, could you use an e-ink display for anything flying? Because, I mean, iPads are so ubiquitous now for doing anything flying. I'm trying to think, like, it would be cool to have the equivalent of, like, a paper map. I mean, without having the inconvenience of a paper map or charts or whatever.
Right.
But I think an iPad just wins out in every situation. Like, except maybe battery life.
Yeah.
But you can always just plug it in. So the iPad Mini is it has a 1 killer app. I use ForeFlight, and it's it literally, like, people buy an iPad just for ForeFlight. It's that good and that valuable, and they'll pay $100 a year for it because it just changes everything. But
What is it?
it's called ForeFlight, and it actually is owned by Boeing now. They bought it out, but it's charts, flight planning, weather. Everything is just everything you need to conduct flights. You can file our flight plans. You can get weather briefings. You can plot charts, do waypoints, do approaches, all kinds of stuff. Everything short of, like, flying the plane, it'll do. And it's just amazing what everything that you get for $100 a year for that is, like, it's nothing in the world of aviation.
Thousands of dollars probably saving yourself.
Yeah. They even have a little you can hook it up to an AHRS, I forget what it stands for. Yeah, attitude heading reference system. I guess so. Anyway, basically like a little gyroscope, right? And so you can actually even, like, if in a pinch, you can use it to, like, fly by instruments if your instruments go out. Like,
That's pretty cool.
Artificial horizon and stuff.
That's crazy.
Yeah, you would never, ever, ever want to use it unless you absolutely had to. But, like, it's
How
there.
would you, like, QA test that? In a plane?
Exactly. You don't want to. You're in a cloud, you can't see crap, and your vacuum system fails, and you don't have an attitude indicator. You can't see the horizon. You do not want to be trusting this little home-built Raspberry Pi that's slapped into a battery pack in the back of your plane. You really don't.
It's crazy.
But you could.
Oh, man.
But anyway, it would be cool to have charts that looked like real charts. I guess you just get the charts at that point. Just print them out.
I'm trying to think where I put the stupid thing. I don't even know what books are on it. I don't know. Realistically, I'll just go upstairs and watch Netflix and fall asleep.
This is the way.
Except for tonight, I want to fight for space because Watson has a full side of the bed.
Ooh, solo. Bachelor pad tonight. Former Boeing person tomorrow. What, do they work on the 737 MAX? Too soon?
An Elixir implementation for the new AWS Lambda container runtime.
A Mr. Dockyard now? If they give you open source time. They don't, but that doesn't mean I won't do it. An Elixir implementation of the new AWS Lambda container runtime. An Elixir, I have to parse that. An Elixir implementation of the new AWS. Oh, you want to run... I don't even know what that is. Does it allow you to run arbitrary things in Lambda using containers? Is that what that is?
Run Elixir on Lambda.
Run Elixir on Lambda instead of Node. Oh, that would be cool. Is that valuable? Do people want that? Is that something that could even work? I guess you could build a release and... Yeah. I mean, I'm familiar, like, you can do Lambda with other stuff, but I didn't know that it was... You could just containerize stuff and...
People will go very fast.
Okay, it's new. Okay.
What's the cold start time like on that?
Oh, I didn't even get to rant about Azure Portal today. Oh, well. Save that for another day. spent 5 hours on a call with someone just futzing around with moving resources around in Azure today, and like, boy, I feel like I spent half the time just clicking refresh and nothing was changing. It won't matter, Thomas. No, these aren't new complaints, I don't think. Don't type that searches into the text box, right, Shy Ryan. You go to Google and you type google.com into the search box and hit enter. Ouch. Yeah, I would be curious on the warm up times on that.
I've seen a lot of people do that. Instead of like, they know the domain, like instead of going to facebook.com, they'll go to Google and type facebook.com and then click the first link.
That's okay, because that's ad money that Facebook has to pay out to Google, so I'm okay with that.
It's only ad money if it's placed at the top, like if it's an ad at the top.
Right, and I think people click the first thing, which is.
But like if you type in facebook.com.
Oh, do you get the ad? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't get an ad.
Backbone.
If you just type like Facebook.
I love how that's already. Yeah, Thomas. I have so many complaints. It's fine sometimes, but I have a lot of more complaints than not. And I haven't even used it that much. Like I don't even know what I'm doing. We'll talk, Thomas. I'm just gonna. Can you just be my punching bag? I'll just yell at you, and you can just be my stand-in for the Azure engineering team, and just absorb all of my yelling, and then somehow transform that into constructive feedback. That'd be great.
Don't I have an email? Don't we have an email address for an Azure employee from Ignite?
Oh yeah, I mean we could hit up our boy. What was his name? The guy who'd never been on a podcast before with the awesome radio voice.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Bob. Hold on, I've got our Notion right here.
Please refrain from personal attacks.
Stefan Shakow.
That's right.
Stefan. We didn't land Scott Hanselman. We tried. We really tried. But he's too good for us.
Boom boom. I think he was just super busy giving all those talks.
Yeah. Can you imagine? I was mostly impressed with how good those Audio-Technica headsets sounded. Like, we were in a booth. We were in a fishbowl with a conference going on around us with noise blasting and like recording with these like little dedicated things. And man, those headsets sounded awesome. Like the audio came out, I think, perfectly. It's really mind-blowing.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
One time I ate lunch near Scott Hanselman. I exchanged emails with him years ago. Before I knew who he was. I just brazenly emailing him because I was like, hey, I think you might be able to help me with this. I was trying to dig up the archive of the 6 episodes of VBTV. Still have yet to find them. It's my white whale. I searched the MSDN archives on archive.org. I cannot find the evidence of these 6 episodes that Microsoft did of Thomas, maybe you can help me with this. If you know anyone who does Channel 9, I'm looking for 6 episodes of VBTV, Rich and Ari's cheap ass show. That was the Rich and Ari, something and Ari, cheap ass show. It was a variety show. They're about an hour long, and they tried to teach people about VB.net and why it was cool. And it was great. It was Head in a Box. There was actually a Bucky on there. It was great. I look forward to that. It's come out every week, get a big bowl of ice cream, watch VBTV. Those are good days, man. Thomas, you know anyone who can dig that up on the Channel 9 team? I don't know why I never thought of this until now. You're my one in. Looks like DMX died.
He was in a coma last I heard, right? It's a bummer.
Yep. I have nothing to contribute to that. Sorry.
It's too soon, Anthony. Too soon.
Sorry, Sean. I don't see Anthony in your contacts.
Whoa.
Google Cloud Jesus Containers is 5x slower than AWS without containers. I mean, that makes sense. I don't know if I expect it to be on that scale, but yeah, Thomas, that's that's going to just become increasingly common. Or like exes. I never had to deal with that, but exes or people you've left an abusive relationship with, like, no Facebook. I don't want to see pictures. That, thank you. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to take off here pretty soon. My eyes are getting a little squirrely. At least I can read now.
And now you can start to see things. You're like, oh shit, I regret this. Dilate me again, Doc. I don't want to see anymore.
The dual dose.
Yeah, that'll get you. That'll get you every time. Yeah. Well, all right, man. Thanks for hanging out, everyone.
Yeah. I'll work on getting both sides of the interview, the business side and the technical side of the authentication stuff. I think they'd be down to talk about it.
You want to do 2 episodes or split it, or we can talk about that.
Probably 2 episodes, I think.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, thanks for hanging around, everybody.
Yeah.
It's highlight of the week.
Frank.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We have that DM, too. And I've got another email I have to respond to as well, now that I think about it.
And I also have one in the pipeline, but to be determined.
To be determined.
Thanks, Anthony. Good to see you. Chat with you.
See everybody.
Bye, Paul. Thomas. It's been all right.
See you, Selden.
Bye, guys. Have a good night.
See you, Ryan.